3, 2, 1.
Today's talk title is Cherish Is the Word. Now most of us know that that's the title of the song. And there was discussion of actually singing that song, but in the long run, it was best that it wasn't sung because of what Cherish, the song Cherish, that was recorded by the Association in 1966, is about. And I didn't want the confusion of it's a beautiful song, and Barbara would have sang it beautifully, but I didn't want the confusion of what the song was written about, which was unrequited love. And it's a beautiful song, and I made up this talk title not even thinking of the song. It just kind of came to me because of words that go with appreciation, right? And one is cherish. So, by the way, Cherish was written by Terry Kirkman, who was one of the original members of the association. They did write a lot of their own songs. So, we're going to go through the lyrics a little bit, not all the verses, and I'm going to talk about how cherish, like Reverend Gary was talking about a moment ago, how cherish is something that we need to put into our vocabulary when we're talking about manifesting things. So, the lyrics start with, cherish is the word I use to describe all the feeling that I have hiding here for you inside. You don't know how many times I've wished that I had told you. You don't know how many times I've wished that I could hold you. You don't know how many times I've wished that I could mold you into someone who could cherish me as much as I cherish you. I don't know about the idea of molding somebody. That doesn't work for me, but remember we're flipping this around to demonstrating things into our lives. So what are we molding when we're demonstrating things in our lives? We're molding our thoughts. We're molding our feelings that are connected to those thoughts. We're molding the idea of what that experience is even before it shows up in the 3D world. So until we do that effectively, it's unrequited. It's an unrequited dream. And how many of us have had unrequited dreams, or ideas, or desires, or goals, whatever you want to call them? We all have. I have. I've been thinking about those this week. And we all come up with many reasons of why they were unrequited. And of course, those of us in this teaching understand, and it's not always fun to understand that they're unrequited dreams, we'll call them, because we didn't have the consciousness of them. That's what we teach. Now, that doesn't mean we can't change our mind and decide that those dreams aren't important to us anymore. And it's not about blame, shame, or guilt, or any of that stuff. It's like what I talked about a couple of weeks ago, responsibility. We take responsibility, and then we go, okay, well, I didn't have it, or now I'm going to have it. We make that decision. So if it is unrequited, we get over it, we try to forget it, or we come up with excuses sometimes. I'm sure all of us, especially when we were younger, came up with excuses about, why this didn't come up. Maybe other dreams overrode it, or we realize, now here's an important one, we realize that these unrequited dreams weren't really our dreams. They were dreams put upon us by family, society, because we went to college and graduated with this or that degree. We think, then I have to go into that profession, and that profession is my dream, and if I'm not quote-unquote successful in that, then I have an unrequited dream. But sometimes we went into it for the wrong reasons. Because mom and dad said so, or because we didn't know what we wanted to do, so, all right, I'll go do this. So like I said, this week I contemplated a bunch of mine, and I realized that some of them didn't demonstrate as I thought, or didn't show up in the face that I thought they would show up in, because I didn't cherish that dream. I didn't do what Reverend Gary was talking about, which was being in the moment, being mindful, being in the knowing that that was the most important thing in that moment for me when I was thinking about it, that dream, that idea, that requirement that I had. And after a while, like the second verse in this Cherish song, I recognized that perish is the word that more than applies to the hope in my heart. Each time I realize that I'm not going to be the one to share your dreams, I'm not going to be the one to share your schemes, I'm not going to be the one to share what seems to be the life that you could cherish as much as I do yours. Not about another person that we're trying to get to love us, but by an idea or a requirement or a declaration or whatever you want to call it that you want to manifest in your life, that we're not cherishing that idea, that it's not important to us. It becomes almost a wish and a hope. And a wish and a hope, though is a great first step, is not very powerful. And it's not cherishing that idea. Now, I'm not here to depress you. And when I talk about responsibilities, I'm not here to point fingers at anybody, because there's no use for it. It does nothing. I'm here to inspire you by taking this word as your next step for your next, or if you want to go back to some old dream, your next desire, your next journey or adventure. Here's a quote from Ernest Holmes from the Science of Mind book, and he said, "Things exist in the universal mind as ideas. Ideas take form and become things in the concrete or the visible world. Thought calls things forth from the universal into expression." Very basic stuff about how things work. What I was just saying before, thoughts plus feelings equals belief, and belief, a cherished belief, equals experience in your life. But when those ideas aren't appreciated, like I talked about last week, or respected, or nurtured, or cherished, then they perish. And they may even show up in some sort of way, but they're not going to be the way you like. They're not going to be the way you thought. And they may not be the way you want. And so in a way, they've perished. Now you can take that as a lesson and move forward and maybe change things, because your response to that demonstration is what's important, not your reaction. But let's go back and remember that we're the spiritual broadcasting stations, and our internal state of mind informs the law of cause and effect. So we inform it by cherishing that thought. And what do we do to cherish it? We do the mental and physical work. The mental and physical work. And sometimes it feels like it takes a lot of time. Sometimes it feels like too much. And even for meditators, I know very many meditators who do it twice a day for 20 minutes. They have the mantra for those who do Vedic and other things, but and they're very calm and centered and grounded people. But then if I talk to them and they tell me about dreams and what they may say is hopes and wishes, ideas that they want to manifest, I realized that meditation did one great thing for them, but the other work wasn't being done. They weren't cherishing that idea. There's a second quote I want to bring up, and this is from Ralph Waldo Emerson's essay, Self-Reliance, which I love, and I brought up a few weeks ago, I believe, too, but not this quote. And he said, "Nothing is at last sacred but the integrity of your own mind." Now, most of the people in this room, and most of you probably out there, know that, have heard that, have even heard most of the things in one way or another that I've said before. But it's important, it must be important to you, because I'm no different than any of the rest of you out there, to be reminded. And part of my job is to remind and inspire you in that remembrance to step into the work. And this work today we're talking about is cherish. So my question will be, do you believe your word is sacred? Or do you sometimes believe your word is sacred and sometimes not? Do you believe your ideas, these are the ideas you want to come into fruition in your life, do you believe they're full of integrity? That's important. Can't cherish it unless you believe there's integrity behind what it is you want to bring into your life. Do you describe what you do for your dream, your idea, your manifestation as something you cherish? So there I'm talking about the work. So the prayer or the contemplation / meditation or even the work in a hypnotist's office or a therapist's office or a counselor's office if you come to any of us for counseling. Are you there to cherish that experience? Not just sit there and go, yeah, okay. Or if you go to a hypnotist to just sit there and expect these miracles to show up, you have to do some work too. And your work is in intention. And using intention when you step into an office of a counselor or a hypnotist or even your medical doctor, your intention is you cherishing your healing, whatever that healing would be, whether it is to bring something into your life or bring something into your body, a centeredness, a groundedness, a return to the I amness of it, your health, to not be too esoteric about it. So let me be clear about this cherish thing. This is not a narcissistic thing that I'm talking about. It's not a selfish act I'm espousing. It's not an initiative to ignore or push others away because of that while you're working on it, or disregard any diversity that might show up in your life. You don't want to ignore that stuff. You respond to it. You don't react to it. You respond to any diversity that may show up because of your thoughts and feelings going on in your beliefs. Or you don't want to push other people away. What does that do? You don't want to do this in a vacuum alone. There's a oneness that we can grab onto to empower us or re-empower us. It's always there. And we don't want to ignore. I'm not telling anybody to ignore what's happening in the world and our part in it by cherishing your idea that you want in your next experience. All that other stuff creates disharmony. You don't want disharmony. You have disharmony in your life, in your belief system, then you're not cherishing life. And if you're not cherishing life, how are you going to cherish this new idea you want to experience in your life? Definition of cherish is something you care about deeply. Cherish is not necessarily a romantic thing. When you cherish, you cultivate, embrace, defend, foster, protect, conserve, and be devoted to, and have faith in and fidelity to this idea, this dream, this desire, this intention, the healing of your body, this just general peace of mind. We can all take things that a medical doctor may give us to assist in certain things, and that's okay. Because we know what's the intention: to cherish my body, to cherish my mind, to cherish what's going on in all of me, in the holisticness of me, so that I can cherish the idea I am going to bring forth into my next experience. From The Alchemist, fabulous book, he wrote, there is only one thing that makes a dream impossible to achieve, and that's the fear of failure. Or sometimes the fear of success. Anybody have that? Fear of success? Yes, I have. I'm telling you, anybody who's in the entertainment business for any sort of length of time, there is a fear of success too. Because success can bring a lot of things that we see are negative. And some people will, in the back of their minds, think, oh, well, but I don't want to be followed, and I want my privacy, and blah, 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 blah. And those things start floating around in your head, and they stunt your dream, or stunt the best experience of that dream. Or maybe it's just uncomfortable. Maybe success feels uncomfortable because you've lived with what you feel is not success in your life so long that seems normal. It's normal to not get that job because there's a million people vying for that job, whatever that job is. Not just in entertainment jobs, all jobs. Any kind of job, any profession. And we get that in our mind, and we sit in that interview with that going on in our head. We're not cherishing this opportunity to reveal the best in ourselves as much as we can in 10, 15, 20-minute interview in somebody's office. And sometimes we often mistrust the inspiration we receive from God. We get this feeling in our gut, and we have to analyze that. Most of the time, if it's a constructive feeling, it's a feeling from the universe. It's a hint. It's not a red flag. It's an inspiration to you, and in your intuition, which is coming from the universe, coming from God or the divine, whatever you want to call it, informing you, oh, watch out for this, or you're on the right track, go for it, or this is great, step into it. Yeah, this is scary, but make the call anyway. You have to listen to those things. It's so interesting. We've been trained, and more, we've been trained to be in a passive state. And I see that in myself too often, that I'm in a passive state. Watching these things, being on the phone, even television is a passive state. Sitting at a desk, staring at a computer, reading a book even, and I love reading, and I have nothing against reading, but it can be a passive state if we don't take, let's say you're reading a nonfiction or some Eckhart Tolle. You're reading some Eckhart Tolle, and it's great to read, and you're inspired by what he said, and you're like, yeah, I get it, that's fun. If you don't do anything with it, you're passive. And not to downgrade the reading and an enjoyment of the reading of anything like that, or a novel for that matter. But if you don't take action with those nonfiction ideas, or even actually in fiction, there's some great ideas that show up through characters. If you don't take action, if you stay passive, then you're not cherishing what that idea is in your life. So it's follow through. It's all about taking inspired action, and that could be a little thing. And if it's not a big thing, who cares? Start little. Schedule a meeting, send an email, post if it's something that has to do with posting something on social media. Make a list. Go back and meditate. Of course, do affirmative prayer, or use this card with this information to get yourself back to center, so that you can cherish what it is you want. Because if you hesitate, there's a trillion things in our way, yes, including these things. A trillion things that are ready to take our attention, ready to slow us down from cherishing our next experience. We don't want to get also we don't want to get caught in the mental trap that enormously successful people, or any successful people in your field, have some special gift. Because they don't. They may have a little education that you don't have, but that can be gotten, yes. They may have a little more experience than you have, but that just takes a little time to gain that experience. But they don't have any special gift. You, all of us, all of you, we all have the same power. And we have to remind ourselves of these basic things, this kindergarten stuff. All the people in this room know this, teach this, practice this. But even we have to go back to kindergarten sometimes, because we with all the things going on in life, we get distracted and we don't cherish. And if we don't cherish, then we don't manifest. And then we wonder why. And then we get into that whole stuff of why and I should know better. No, we should go back to kindergarten. And if that's for 5 minutes, that's for 5 minutes. If it's for a whole week, it's for a whole week. If we allow life to get in our way to the point that we have stopped meditating, we have stopped doing our spiritual practice, or postponed it, let's say, then we get back into it. And we don't freak out about it. We just do it. But we still need to go back to kindergarten now and again. But like I told you before, so I can finish this idea about that there's some special gift going on. No, we all have that special gift. You might need a little more knowledge, education, or experience in a certain craft or art or something in your business. That's fine. That's just a matter of time. But like I told you before, there's no secret being kept from anybody. There's no secret being kept from you. There's no power that you don't already have access to, because the greatest gift that extraordinarily successful people have over the supposed average people is that they are cherishing their power. And they're cherishing the things that they want to manifest. And they get themselves to take action, whatever that is. Email, sitting down and meditating, contemplating, writing out a list, whatever. There's a million tools. I've said these tools, I'll say more tools as we go along. But that is the basic thing. And we have to get back to that. And remember to cherish and appreciate what it is we are bringing into our lives next. So I want to say one more verse in this song, Cherish. Well, I'm beginning to think that man has never found the words that could make you want me, that have the right amount of letters, just the right sound, that can make you hear, make you see, that you are driving me out of my mind. So for the unrequited love, that's obvious. But what I want to point out, and I'm going to close on this area, is that it's your word is powerful. Our words are powerful. Every word that we speak in our mind is powerful. Now, if we do it consciously with educated thought, it's going to be more powerful. But if we start cherishing this idea that it's never going to show up, that I'm too old, that I don't have the money to do it, other excuses that I wrote down, then what we're cherishing is the lack of limitation reasons. And they would love to sit and be a part of your life for longer and longer, because they need a lot of attention. Lack of limitation ideas. And they can drive you right out of your mind. They do. I've had those dark days where I just feel like, at least, it's more of an emotion than a feeling, because a feeling, I believe, is intentional. Emotions just they happen based on your beliefs and stuff. That's my definition to differentiate between emotion and feeling. Some days they're just, I have to have feelings because my emotions attack me. And I start cherishing that pity party. Ugh, how awful. That's not what we want to manifest. Like Tony Robbins says, knowledge is not power, it's potential power. Execution trumps knowledge every day of the week. So, we can be in a good state of mind here and not a good state of mind there, but when we remember what that good state of mind feels like, how we cherish where we were in that moment, even if we were in that restaurant before, even if we had that meal before, even if we've been to the Grand Canyon, although I don't know how you can't cherish that big hole anytime you see it because it's too magnificent. But even if you have, or you wanted to go somewhere else but you got outvoted, and so now you're here at the Grand Canyon. Okay, great. It's 1,000 feet down. That's cool, isn't it? It is cool. It is beautiful. And then you start cherishing, and what happens to your day? What happens to your trip? It's not a disappointment because you didn't go to that national park or Yellowstone or something. It's because, well, yeah, I'm here again, but isn't this friggin' cool? And you cherish that. Let me leave you with one more quote. And this is Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. She wrote, "It is only when we truly know and understand that we have a limited time on earth that we will begin to live each day to the fullest, as if it was the only one we had." Cherish is the word. Thank you so much.